Hello tubers, Mezcal here. So I'm fiddling around getting this thing cleaned up. I've polished that face there, got rid of the crappy old paint that was on there, and that's now holding a seal. I've cleaned up the O-ring, pulled the O-ring out, oiled it, put it back in. So that's the bottle's holding seal. I'm hearing a hissing, leaking noise somewhere down the bottom here when I turn the vacuum pump back off. And I wanted to get in here and see how all this works. This is supposed to be the mechanism that breaks the vacuum and lets the pressure in. So somehow this thing's meant to have a pressure, because it's got a pressure gauge as well as a vacuum gauge. So the idea is the pour happens under vacuum. As soon as the pour happens, the vacuum is let go and then pressure comes on top of that. Now, the suggestion is that this thing must have an input, a high pressure, like a pressure line in. So it's either this is either an adjustment for this mechanism, or this is an input for air, pressurized air, because how else does it get pressurized air? There's a pressure tank under there that fills from the vac pump, but I can't see that being a thing. It's probably this. Now somebody's tried to turn that and it's burred out, so I'll go and try and find a good tool. That looks like a good tool. This could be an air inlet. Okay, well, I don't know. It looks more like an adjustment screw. Not sure. I wish I could find some documentation on this thing. I can't even find the company name. There's a bank that has the same Medio, what is it? Medio something? Can't remember now. Mediolanum, that's it. Yeah, there's a bank, an Italian bank. And every time I Google Mediolanum, all I can find is the bank name, and I got nothing else. The pump running now. Let's just have a look at. Well, we're not pulling vacuum because that's not pushed in. Let's push that in. Hold it for a little bit. We should start to pull vacuum. That's the vacuum gauge. There we go. Hear the pump changing sound as well as it loads up. It looks like we're only going to about 10 centimetres of mercury. So the idea here was to pull this lever while it's under vacuum and see what happens. It's like it's let the vacuum in. No, she's gone higher vacuum. That's really weird. Way higher. I haven't seen it go that high. So, hearing that hiss, down there somewhere. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty.
Dad?
There's no vacuum line there. Yeah, darling, what's up?
I love you.
I love you too. Where's the leaky line, Ebby? There's a leaky air line in here somewhere. What is that? There's a little brass tap down there. Look at that. Looks like a bleed tap. I've got it out of the back of the wagon so I can work on it properly. Put it on this rotating box thing here. Now, see the vac we're pulling now. When I pull this lever, things will change. No. Did before. I don't know what pre or all does. There's an off-centre position. Yesterday all these were lit up. What's going on here? I don't have lights on the PID. What's going on? Great. Curious looking assembly here. Little brass taps, like it looks like a drain. Like it might fill up with water, like that's some sort of reservoir. 3 hoses in. I guess I should follow the pressure line and see where it goes, because if it's going to have pressure and air coming in, then that's going to show where that goes. Things apart that make you realise that switch position may not be indicative of a 3-position switch, because look, there's only 2 wires to it. I really don't know if they were showing before, it was just too dark and I couldn't see it, but the lights are showing. I screwed the terminals on the back there up and things are showing. Done this so I can get a good look at what this is. It's allowed me to take that top off. I might send a photo of this to my dad and see what he thinks. Taking that apart, and that's like a check valve in there. Spring tensioned little seat, little cupboard seat. Now there is a thread on there. I don't know if it's an intake. It could be. There's talk that one of these might be outputting pressure that fills that orange tank down there, and then that comes back through, but might have to replace all these hoses. That might be a good idea. So my old man suggests undoing these hoses one at a time and seeing what's going on. We'll find out if this is pushing or pulling. Suction. This one too feels like a vacuum line. And that one's blowing. So that's the valve assembly out of there. This thing's got to be an air cylinder, or air tank of sorts, and that is a pressure relief valve. Now this screw here is a locking screw, so you set the pressure, and I've just fiddled with it so it's not set anymore, and I've got to set it to around about 5 bar, but we're not making pressure, so there's a leak somewhere. I cleaned out the filter. It had all this you know, metallic looking dust in there. I figured that could be precious metal, so I put it with some borax and melted it and got that. lead or silver. It's pretty weighty.